Okay, so we're going to take our two half-inch size hoses with a long and a short one. The short one is going to be for the top back of the turbo, so it's going to go in something about like this, and it's going to get attached using this T, or union, excuse me. It's going to get hooked up to this hose right here, so that's going to be our short hose, and then our longer hose is going to go from the bottom up, attached to the motor, and go to the bottom output of the turbo. So with our shorter line hooked up to our existing hose, we're going to go ahead and use these smaller, thinner hose clamps for here and here. So now we're going to take and route our longer hose up underneath the motor, come around, and it's going to get brought right in behind here, pulled into right there. So it's going to go up and around to there, and we'll use a hose clamp. Okay, with our water lines tight, setup done, the next task we're going to do is we're going to remove our throttle bodies, and we don't have to take out our steering post or nothing like that. We're just going to go ahead and loosen the three 4mm Allen bolts that hold the clamps on, and we'll go ahead and take off the two water hoses, and we'll go ahead and pull this out. There's also an electrical connection at the top right here. Big square one, just go ahead and unplug that. And we've already removed our gas line if you haven't done that yet. It's just two clips. You pull the first clip out and then pinch the second clip and it pulls out. So we'll go ahead and get those out. Alright, with the throttle bodies removed, now we're going to go ahead. We don't have to remove them all the way. We can leave the throttle cable and stuff right through. But basically what we're going to do with these throttle bodies, we're going to take and remove all of these little clips, put zip ties on them. We're going to zip tie the idle air hoses. This big giant hose here. We're going to zip tie all of these. We're going to add our map signal off of the center cylinder here, the big hose. There's two different sizes hoses in these. We're going to use the one that has the bigger hole drilled in it. And then also, if you're going to be installing the 270 kit with 6 injectors and updated fuel or upgraded fuel pressure regulator, we'll go ahead and keep our stock right side fuel fitting that attaches to the stock fuel line. But we'll go ahead and remove this deadhead regulator and replace it with our OST adjustable fuel pressure regulator kit bung, and we'll use that for this rail and then two for the secondary injector rail. So we'll go ahead and get everything zip tied up, get our maps set up, and we'll put our throttle bodies back on. Okay, so here we have our map sensors set up. So this part right here is going to get plugged into the center throttle body port, and this part is going to be routed down to our fuel pressure regulator. This is going to be only for the 270 kit. Both the other kits, the 6-pound and 6-pound with 6 injectors, we're just going to get the map sensor not what's the matter. Okay, so now with our throttle bodies all zip tied, you see we have here, all of these, we have a map sensor adapter hooked up. See it plugs into the inside top one, the big hole. This is going to get plugged into PC5. This is going to get routed down to our rising rate fuel pressure regulator. Now this is only going to be with this hose and the T if you're running the 270 kit. All the other kits are not going to require this extra vacuum line. You're just going to require this map sensor. So it'll just be a straight hose going into the throttle body if you don't have the 270 kit. Now also if you have the 270 kit, we're going to go ahead and install this fuel pressure regulator bung. So we're just going to remove this stock piece here, and remove this plate and the piece, and then we're going to use the stock bolts and washers to bolt up our new piece. Alright, so now we have our fuel rail piece installed, and it's just still loose. We just kind of clutch it so it's pointing forward somewhat right now, and we'll leave the fitting out of it until we get it back installed on the head. So now we're just going to go ahead and reinstall our throttle bodies back onto our motor. Okay, so now with the throttle bodies back in position, we'll just go ahead and push them on. We hook up our 2 water fittings here, and we attach the throttle cable, and go ahead and leave this electrical connection unhooked right now, because this is where our PC5 is going to plug into. So before we get our throttle bodies in, we need to install our oil fitting into our head. And right now this fitting is a 1/8" plate tap to a number 4. So basically you just got to take out your stock bolt that's in there, drill it with a Q drill bit, tap it to 1/8" MPT with grease, and then suck all the metal and grease out of the hole, install the fitting, and then we're going to go ahead and install our oil line too and tighten it up before we get our throttle bodies back on, so it's a lot easier to get them out of the way. Okay, so now with this oil line installed, we're going to have the straight oil fitting going into the head. The 90-degree fitting is going to go into the turbo. So now with our oil line installed, we can go ahead and button our throttle bodies up. And if you notice, we're just going to take them, it's going to go in sideways, twist them in, push them down. So with our throttle bodies installed, clamps tightened, and all of our lines ran out, we are going to go ahead and put back on the turbo, finish up the water lines and the drain hose that runs around. Right, so now with the turbo back in our sled, we can start looking at hooking our hoses up. So this top hose is going to go to here, this bottom hose is going to come out and come up to right here, and then our big 5/8 hose can attach to here, run down, around, get to there. So let's go ahead and get those set up. First thing we can do now is we got our turbo pretty much where we want it. So we want to go ahead and clock this oil fitting so that it's straight up and down. We'll go ahead and tighten the exhaust side bolts first. We'll tighten this into position, and then we'll clock the compressor housing down a little more to connect our charge tubes. Alright, so now we have our water lines hooked up on our turbo and tightened, and the banjo bolts tightened, which is the 13/16. All the hose clamps tightened. You can see the short hose runs up to the top into there. The longer hose comes out of the motor, runs down through here, comes up and attaches to this outside part over here. We also have our the bottom of our wastegate hooked up. So that's going to come straight directly out of the turbo right here with a hose clamp. You can see that. And that's just going to get followed along in the back. Plugged into this fitting here, which this is the bottom of the wastegate, we call it. And then, so now our next thing we're going to hook up is we have our oil drain T that we worked on earlier in here now. So we're going to go ahead and run hose from that around the pipe up to this hose here. So now with our drain hose installed underneath, running down, around, and into the teed setup, our turbo on this side is pretty well complete for right now. The next thing we're going to work on is we're going to go ahead and get our chassis ready for getting the charge tubes in. So basically what we got to do now is we just got to lightly clearance this front engine cradle part right here. So basically this black part right here where my finger's touching, we're just going to take a Dremel and grind out a little bit of metal there so that our charge tube doesn't rub on it when we put it all in. Okay, so we have a part ground out now. So you can see down there, it's ground out. And you want to remember to make sure you put some rags in your motor and turbo and stuff so you don't get metal in them. Now we're going to take and fit our charge tube. So we're basically the longer one that has the weld on it bent up. We're going to just go ahead, stick it under the motor, turn it down. And as you can see, that's where it's going to ride, just like that. And we just want to Dremel out enough just so where you got a good, nice loose area so it doesn't rub through when it's in position. So we got enough there, so now we'll just go ahead and vacuum out the belly pan and continue putting charge tubes in. So this is how our charge tube setup is going to be pretty much assembled into the sled. It's going to be, if you're looking at the sled, it would be something about like this. This part's going to go under the motor. It's going to be the one we just fit under the motor. And this bend is going to come to the outside. And that part is going to come up. That's going to attach it to the turbo. So we can just go ahead and kind of dry fit all of this stuff in. We're going to have to put this tube here in without this elbow out here on, and we'll have to put that on second. Okay, so now you can see we have a charge tube with our adapter and our first shoulder bend going into the second 90-degree bend tube, and that's going to go into the motor, and it's going to come out right there. So now with that tube sticking out through there, we'll go ahead and put our other 90 facing up, and then that'll be attached to our charge tube right here. Alright, so now we've got our charge tube installed, and the first two sets of rubbers clamped tight, and now we just basically have our charge tube sticking through the bottom here, and we're going to go ahead and stick this 90 straight up. So it's going to go in there like that, and we'll clamp on this side, put a clamp on the other side, and then we can install the intercooler. Okay, so now we've got our intercooler on, and we started by having our rubber 90 down, and then we put our 3 throttle body boots on, and tighten them onto the throttle body first, and then now we have our clamps positioned up so we can get to them from the top. Got our intercooler pushed on, 2 hose clamps clamping the clamps down onto the bars here. And so now we'll just go ahead, tighten up these 3 clamps here because we've already tightened the backside. And we'll tighten that bottom clamp there on the rubber, make sure all the rubbers are pushed on good. And we can install the injectors next. If your kit has the 6 injectors. If you only have the 3 injector kit, then you'll only have the stock 3 fuel injectors that are in the throttle bodies, none of these extra bungs on the intercooler. Now that we got the clamps tight, we are going to go ahead and put on our idle air hose. So this basically big hose that's coming from the throttle body stock is going to get put onto this barb right here coming off of the throttle body, or off of the intercooler, and a hose clamp onto there.